Good morning from Yummy B TV. Wishing you all well today. Sending loads of love to you, as usual. Now, before I go, so why can I never get in the position that I want to get to in the chair? Before I go into this jumbled up video this morning, right? Just to let you know that this is the first day since I've been out where I take on a therapy, counselling, one-to-one session and making a plan for regular meetings with my first ever drug worker counsellor on the outside world. Now, many of you are going to say, I told you a long time ago, Yami, meetings, professional help, your way of doing it, it's not working out for you, right? For the first time after, the recent times, I basically, is it surrendered the right word, and said no. I'm not so much that I was listening to what everybody else has been telling me, is that I felt actually in myself that I couldn't manage the way that I do it, etc. Getting clean for a couple of months, carried on drinking, same relapse kind of stuff happened in the last 3 occasions when I did fall back down. So now, we work towards not even having a drink, day by day. I'm going to listen to that as well. So I'll keep you posted. So I feel kind of relief that I've actually made a step forward for the first time in life and for the first time in history. It's got to be said. I did a few drug courses in prison, but never been to rehab and that kind of stuff. Feeling different at the moment as well. So following on from yesterday, many questions and comments saying to me, come on, Uncle Yami, what about when there's upsets, when supposed big name fighters who are known and have reputations for, winning most of their fights and get their respect and have the fear factor, or whatever way you want to describe it, for that life we led, what happens when they come unstuck? And, against all the odds, what everybody was expecting to happen on their part to win quite an easy fight, an unsung hero, or somebody, that's just known about the wing and say hello, and he's very quiet but doesn't talk about fighting. No one's ever seen him fight. So out of the blue, there is we call it a major upset, not going according to the script. And there are a few along those years. Oh God, I worry about offending certain people sometimes, but to talk about the emotional stuff that goes with being the flavour of the wing, when, say, all right, we draw on 2 experiences from me now. Back in the day, a man that was really hated on the wing, spoke to people so unkindly, belittled people, was a growler, looked like he wasn't even happy in himself, really. Had a couple of fights, witnessed one with somebody in the gym once, but it didn't look that great. He had the big size and everything, but he was intimidating. And, sometimes along the way, some people got by on just using tough words and saying, what? And all that. And people, become a bit fearful and scared and feel like they might be up against it or lose their bottle. Whatever way you want to put it, they don't end up fighting the geezer, but they talk about him quite a bit behind his back, but don't actually challenge him, right? I got into like a kind of argument with him. Now, being the cheeky chappy that I was, I didn't really like him, right? Ronnie, right, we'll say. And in this particular prison, you eat outside. There's dining tables. There's not many of those in the old days, where you could sit down and have your lunch and dinner before you bang up. So you're eating near like where the food's served and people can sit around a table together. So this argument's taken place between 2 tables, and I was quite new to that prison then, but I wasn't on a bad run of Yami where I was pushing out my chest and demanding money with menaces and being a pain in the ass, which, some stages of my career, my prison career, I was loved in some places. I was having the rub of the green everywhere, but there were times when my behaviour made quite a few people dislike me at those moments in time. But on this occasion, I was getting on well with everybody. So we end up in an argument, me and this geezer, right? So we have a quick exchange, right? I'll throw 6 to 8 punches. He's got big head. Another one with a big head. But yeah, I kind of, flurry, it was an excellent start by me, and got a couple of thuds and that, you know, kind of took a backward step, stunned, thrown a bit back. But other people started to get involved and break it all up, right? Marvin Herbert threw a punch at him that day because of the West London thing with me and Marvin. Told you the other day that he phoned me about a film, right? While it's all getting broken up, Marvin says, what you doing, mate? Fight me or whatever. Marvin bangs him in the mouth. Another geezer called Russell as well swings what punches him. You know, it was like everybody had turned against him at that moment because, again, but I was thinking, if you lot never really liked him that much, how come you never really took on, you know, challenged him yourself kind of thing? So it was like, you know, getting into a fight, the wrong person, me at that stage, was a red rag to a bull to everybody else and a chance for them to say, I never liked you anyway kind of thing. And plus I like Yami, you all that and you all that. Like John Gray and Tony Argent, I've done on many occasions, and Nelson and Slaney, and where they're back in fights. But it wasn't needed at that moment, but they chose to do that, right? So after that's happened, I'm the flavour of the wing for a week or so, you know, yes, Yami, good, I'm glad that, I didn't really win the fight, did I? You know what I mean? But I didn't really lose. But because the geezer's got so much, you know, he's known for, you know, getting the better of everybody, and he's, like we said, his demeanour and attitude was terrible. A close fight with no winners or losers, it was more like a defeat for him. You know, that everyone started walking past him. You know, that's what it gets like in there sometimes. People just walk past up. So people that were saying hello to him out of, you know, fear and just putting up with the way that he was, all of a sudden started walking past him. And he was a lonely figure. Like we were speaking yesterday, some men just walk away and go down the block and call it a day the minute they get something that doesn't go their way. Now, lonely figure, everybody, you know, using those tactics, which I've even used over at times, where you make them feel even worse about themselves. And on this particular occasion, really good for him. You know what I mean? You reap what you sow, but never quite the same after that. Some what happens with bullies and people that, you know, the minute it doesn't go your way, some of them go really quiet. Good comments there yesterday about that. So another occasion now, a couple of years later, when I'm a baddie and I'm owing people on the wing, causing distress everywhere, mix up everywhere with other inmates and that kind of stuff. So there's a month or two where not too many people were happy with me, you know what I mean, for one reason or another. Now, I was on the telephone, them days of the blue phones on the thing with the phone cards. Now, there was a mix-up between somebody else and somebody else down the gym, right? It had nothing to do with me, but I got involved in a you know, letting the other guy kind of get the better of the exchanges with the geezer, if all be told, and you know, and rightly so, the man's not going to be too happy about it. But I didn't expect what happened next, because on an evening association, I was on the phone. Very rarely I use the blue phone, but the pool table's there, the staff office is there, and I'm talking for a minute or so, and then bang, 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 bang. I've got a few punches. I drop the phone. Everybody's watching on the association, and like I said, I wasn't the flavour of month, very much like the geezer that I threw the punches at, right? So Tucker didn't even get a chance to throw punches back. The screws were there straight away, parting it. They were even parting it and holding me, and then I got a couple of more punches, and I was feeling so dejected, like I had a fat lip, a black eye, everything, right? When I came back, we both went to the block, right? And then we came back up. But they separated us. They didn't want to put him back on the wing with me, right? So I was gutted about that, but we got back up anyway. And when I came back up, a lot of men around about that time, Danny Mullins, Clinton Sproul, Delroy Matthews, Jamie Lawrence. There was lots of the old school faces there, right? I felt really, really alone, because during that time I was acting tough and bad, and I was on that bad man day-to-day thing, well, I better get my way and all that. So feeling with the bruises and walking around with in a pitiful state, coming back from the block, I started to look around, and normally people would be talking to me and that kind of stuff. No, it felt like everybody was giving, not everyone, but yeah, Yami, you're right, yeah. And then I was walking up to people and going, yeah, I'm going to go back for him and think I didn't do, yeah, all right, yeah. Making you feel like, yeah, it's not worth talking, mate. You got done, really making you feel really, really empty. Like I said, all alone. So overnight, I'm thinking, my reputation, what I thought of myself. Am I really a bad man? Do they think I'm a mug? Me and the Inquirer was talking about it the other day, that even if the fights are close and not fair, when it comes to, they're not going to listen when they don't like you. They're not going to listen. Trust me, mate. Both of them fights I just explained, there's experiences for me of being the flavour of the month, that bit there. But now catching up with me because I was a baddie at that time. And now I'm getting the same treatment that the other geezer. I felt so lonely, but it kind of makes your self-esteem. I was kind of feeling weak. Have I really got it? Do you reckon I could come back and win it? I went during the changeover of work. I planned it. I was waiting there. A couple of geezers from my manor and all that saying, well, yeah, I mean, you got to deal with that, you can't take that and all that. Right, good. So when it's labour change, coming up for the work, I've got out from my place of work and the other geezer's on a new wing up the top. So I want to meet him as he's coming out of work. I did it all wrong though. Came running up there and I saw him. He was walking with three geezers. They saw me walking towards him. And I said, yeah, mate. He goes, yeah, mate. You took a liberty down the gym thing and all that. As I reached over to him, I give him the hammer, right? I give him the hammer. I put a bit behind it, man, but it wasn't good. He stumbled on the wall, back to the thing, but he didn't go down with anything. And the screws, the changeover screws on the walkway, the melee of everybody watching as well, like it was all expected. Some of you know what it's like, some of you don't know what it's like, but that's how it is. And before it could get into it, and thankfully it didn't, because it was going to be a terrible performance by me, because the swinging, like nothing, he threw back and he got a chance to throw back as well, but nothing happened. But I scored a couple of points in that for the word in the jungle. And but Yami came back to have a go and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So, but I wasn't satisfied. And I still had the bruises. He didn't have no bruises from that time before, but this is the kind of stuff, the breakdown of feeling not wanted and not living up to your reputation and what you believe in. When I worked out years later, you're better off being the unsung hero. Not pushing it around, not saying that you're this and not saying you that, because the bigger the talk and the more that you're winning fights, and the more, it's always, the people are always gonna be waiting for you to fall, because they're not challenging you themselves. So any signs or chinks in your armor, most were good at saying, he just had a fight with what's his name, some of the big names they watch, some of their supposed maybe adversaries, and they're saying, he weren't all that. I fancy that now, but I was thinking, you weren't fancying it as much as before you saw him have a fight where he didn't look as impressive as he does, but it's those things that people pick up on. And those moments of weakness, people are predatory. I'm thinking, well, continue my reputation because you're an easy bit. I'm not saying that's always it. But later on, I'm going to find a couple of major upsets where it happened. And also gangsters, big name criminals that can't have a row. Do their power, does it still exist around them all? Do they still get their own way without being able to fight in a prison institution? Or big name gangsters who, come unstuck, basically. But on that score, that's a separate video on, do they hold the same kind of power, whether just because they can't have a row, or do they get challenged? We'll talk about a couple of those scenarios and situations later on. Blessed day, I'll be up to let you know after my session. We'll do more videos, all right? So sending special love to you all.